I got COVID, so it's time to break down a beat. This is the beat that I made for Trevor's round 4, his final, for the Fontaine trials. I want to kind of break down the process of what it's like to make compositions for a artistry video, what that process is like, and yeah, maybe hopefully inspire somebody to get into music making or tailor their thought processes a little bit differently. It's not that much different. There's just there's just some back and forth that happens. But I think I made this beat in 24 hours or less because the turn-in was the next day, and I think they hit me up the day before. Yeah, the day before the turn-in, and then we had a little bit of time the next day to get things finalized. But this is the project file. It's 24 tracks long, and it's actually pretty simple. I know a lot of people say that, but I had to make it very simple because I was on a time limit. It was 24 hours. So instead of trying to figure out my own melodies and writing out different ideas, I kept it safe, and I just started with a sample and built off of that. But the sample is important. Sample is important because it's actually, I was thinking to myself, it's like, what are things that work in a cardistry video, and what are some of Trevor's inspirations? Well, of course I thought Noel, Gothenburg Shuffle, and this is the song that was used in Gothenburg Shuffle. I know that song and that sound, it works for cardistry videos. It has impact. So I edited the sample a bit, but you can still very clearly hear it. I just have to reverse it and take off the shaper box, and from here you can listen. And what I did to it is, since it already sounds great, I just simply reversed it and it sounds like this. So it changes where the breadth of the track is, and it turns the initial hitting piano keys as now this just kind of break for your ears, because the start of the reverse sample, it has vocals in it, and when it's reversed it creates like these, it sounds almost like a crowd, I don't know, but it built energy, it supported it, and I liked how it sounded reversed. So after I had the sample, it was pretty easy to build up the track. I started by adding a drum loop because it was not about to make drums, so I found this one. I love that drum loop. It's just so simple and it hits hard, and of course to fill out space I added hi-hats just. So from there you have essentially a beat. But of course, Goose was kind of going in this funk realm of using Mindrout's music. Gilbert, I think, yeah, he used to be in the card community, but in order to kind of bring in that funk element, I found this loop. It was in a funk pack, but the lyrics, it says murderer, robber, psychopath, schizophrenic, and I think that's hilarious. So at this point I had drums going, I had vocals in the back, I had everything essentially except for a bass. Now this was my first time making funk, and this is where I'm a bit embarrassed, but the bass line is absolutely horrible. I didn't want to take the time to figure out the scale of it, so all of the bass notes are just playing in A, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and it sounds good, but by itself it sounds horrible. To make all of this even weirder and stupider, I added saturation and distortion, and I even boosted the low end. For God knows what reason, I can't tell you. I had everything filled out. I had a disgusting, horrible, muddy bass line, I had vocals, I had all the instruments and samples stacked up, drums, so I had myself the central idea, and yeah. Now, to be honest with you, that's not even at all my favorite part of the song, and as I'm sure that that's a shared opinion by many, because it goes into a very melodic thing, more so later on, but I want to introduce these samples at the bottom. This was from the same Fontaine kit, and it's just it's like it sounds like Wii Sports almost, but it's like a ping pong. Dun, dun, dun. You'll hear. Oh yeah, I added some effects to it, but yeah, I love the sound of that. It reminds me of like Wii Sports and all that. Now it also has this counter melody where it goes. So over here I built a little bit of a bridge, and to fill out the space I used a Canada Goose landing because I was making the video for Trevor Goose, so it's kind of fitting. It sounds horrible by itself, by the way. It just sounds like a goose honking and landing. No processing, I just chucked it in there, just because. And then essentially just the main part, it loops again. And from here, I think we start building up into, yeah, this is a bit of the melodic section here. And that's all that is just the sample that I had from earlier. Not much work from myself here other than structuring, of course, and I added these vocals I think that filter in. Oh, nope, they're just random vocals. So yeah, from here the main part repeats again. In between I added the most disgusting bass roll of all time. Don't know what I was thinking. After this portion it goes into the really just dramatic and orchestral almost bridge, and that was built off of a sample as well. How much work did I put in? I actually put in a lot of work, but yeah, these samples go like this. But of course it just repeats and repeats and repeats, so what can I add to kind of accent it a bit? So over here I added these, I think it's a string line? Oh no, it's a piano, just a really soft piano playing a melody in the back to make the sample feel less repetitive. And then I start bringing in some of the other sounds back. I fade those in, I reverse this back in. So it kind of comes in with that same repeating line, but then it goes into a really beautiful melodic section as well. So the sample just kind of plays out for a bit, and then it goes doo-doo-doo-doo, and then from here it's just the sample. I chopped it up in some bits, and it goes like this. And this is where you can kind of feel like a song. It sounds presentable, it sounds listenable, and this is probably the part that I listen to the most. And it's still good, it's beautiful. So all it is just the sample that I chopped it up a bit, and I still have that Canada Goose landing. And yeah, it's playing the central idea that I initially started with, which is... So yeah, the things that we're all familiar with. And then after this section, it goes into another really melodic bit. So I'm just using different parts of the same sample. You can see chopping it up here, chopping it up there, just making things sound varied and enough to where when they hear it, the listener hears it, it's not as repetitive, and it's definitely a breath of fresh air from such a repetitive track. This continues to build up, and I add different elements, like just a random guitar line that I did. It doesn't sound very good, but I just put it in the back. And I also added, I think, a piano again. And I also added strings. Yeah, and all of these things kind of transition the song from being the really happy side to being right back down to being mellow, to get obliterated by the bass again. So I had to repeat these 4 times because I think they needed it to hit where the move was hitting. So these are the things that I kind of had to adjust for. It may sound repetitive at this specific moment to the listener, but it pays off because it hits directly when the move happens. And it's like, oh my god, this feels crazy. After that part repeats for a final time, it just goes into a crash and the outro of the sample, and it sounds beautiful. Thank you for watching. If you did, I don't really know what I'm doing with my life.